On the water efficiency plan, as well as the updates to the bylaw, I've been hearing loud and clear from Calgarians that they would like us to see the restrictions, the watering schedule, and whatnot adopted on a voluntary basis until we actually can address some of the root causes issues around the leaks in our pipes. Look, if we're in an emergency situation, Calgarians accept the fact that we need to reduce water consumption in order to allow for enough water to be in the fire hydrants to respond to emergencies and so on. I don't support mandatory restrictions outside of extreme drought or emergency situations, and I believe that the plan that was proposed to council and debated at the committee is well intentioned, but it misses the mark in terms of what Calgarians can support at this point. So I will be supporting amendments that make the scheduling as well as the other restrictions purely voluntary outside of emergency and drought situations. Look, if we're in an emergency situation, it's all hands on deck. Absolutely everyone needs to step up as a team, as we have through the water main servicing, as we did with the unexpected breaks. So again, this should be purely voluntary outside of an emergency or drought situation. Look, if Calgarians would like to support this on a voluntary basis, I would encourage that, and certainly for my purposes, to the extent that I actually have time to be able to garden at home, I will be supporting that personally in terms of what my family does. But outside of an emergency or drought situation, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Another piece, too, is that before we go to Calgarians asking them to step up with those kinds of measures, we need to show them that we've done absolutely everything that we can to address our own internal systems, including the state of our leaky pipes. So right now, about 25% of the city of Calgary's treated water is lost due to the aging nature of infrastructure. I think that we need to tackle that first. And look, if we can fix up our pipes, reduce the loss rate, and still there is not enough water to go around, then I think we're justified in going to Calgarians with more mandatory measures. But having not explored all of the options and addressed some of the internal issues, I don't think it's warranted yet to go to Calgarians with these mandatory restrictions.
Do you think that the city could achieve the aim set out in its plans by 2040 without a watering schedule?
I believe that we can achieve the aims of the water efficiency plan without a mandatory schedule. We have a lot of low hanging fruit, especially around leak detection. Look, it's about 25% or more of the city of Calgary's treated water is lost due to the aging nature of infrastructure. Of course, we're going to continue to advocate, provide education, support programs like the Rain Barrel program and whatnot. We're going to continue those measures, but lacking a compelling reason for Calgarians to support mandatory measures, I will be supporting keeping this purely voluntary, at least for now. We're not in an emergency situation. We're not in a drought situation. And outside of that, I don't think it's appropriate to ask for those mandatory measures.
But would that reason be something that we hear from the city all the time, and that is Calgary is a big and growing city on two small rivers? Is that not enough to push people towards mandatory water restrictions?
Well, I would say in normal circumstances, there is more than enough water to go around. Certainly, we've seen some incredible water efficiency gains over recent years. Outside of a drought or extreme emergency, like with the feeder main, we don't need these types of measures. So I really want to be disciplined in this. I don't want to go to Calgarians and ask them for anything more than what is strictly necessary for us to be able to get through this. Other municipalities have different constraints, different reliability of the watersheds that they rely on. And at the City of Calgary, we can be a leader in terms of addressing our leaky pipes, providing support for, say, rain barrel programs and so on. At this point, the mandatory restrictions are just not necessary. And that said, if we are in an emergency situation or an extreme drought situation, it makes sense to implement these measures, but we haven't exhausted all of the options in terms of what we can do internally to fix our pipes.
You mentioned that you'd received dozens, maybe hundreds of emails over the weekend. As I understand it, the vast majority of those were through a letter writing campaign from Action for Water or something like that. And that some of them aren't even from Calgary. So how and why are we using those letters to be a gauge for what Calgarians really want?
Yeah, so to be clear on that, Darren, I would say over the past 6 months, it's fair to say we've received upwards of 2,000, 300,000 different pieces of correspondence relating to water generally through the December 30th break. So again, my view on this isn't just informed by 200 quick copy paste emails sent in. I've had the opportunity to engage in every single corner of the city, talk with Calgarians, and look, there's huge support for us working together as a team to get through our water issues. Strong support for the mandatory measures because we were in an emergency in December 30th, and we were in a very constrained situation with the proactive shutdown. So look, I've talked to many thousands of Calgarians in my time as mayor about the water issue. Calgarians support us stepping up, implementing these measures when strictly necessary, but they don't largely support this if there's not a strict reason to do so.
Does the city have the authority to turn the water off now without this plan?
Yes. Currently under the existing water bylaw, in tune with what utility providers, say for natural gas and electricity, are able to, is in extreme circumstances where absolutely necessary. Our current water director does have the ability to turn off that service, and that's just industry standard in terms of service provision and so on.
That happens
Oh, okay, guys, do you guys mind if I ask about the downtown police station? Can you downtown
Yeah.
police station? Can you give me an update on what you're after with this?
Yeah, I'm really grateful to have the support of a super majority of my council colleagues to bring together to our next executive committee proposal to begin the ball rolling on reopening our downtown police station. Calgary is now the only major North American city without a downtown police station. To the credit of our Calgary Police Service, they do have outreach teams, they have mobile command units, they have a community counselor on 6th Avenue, but those efforts don't provide 24/7 access. They don't have the visibility that Calgarians are really expecting. I'm continually hearing from commuters, from residents, from business owners about the need for more prevention and proactive measures in our downtown. It's also to the point where it's impacting some economic development opportunities. Our office vacancy rate is stubbornly high in our downtown core. We need to do absolutely everything that we can to instill confidence, but the downtown station, to be clear, is not a magic bullet. It has to be in tandem with a broader strategy around prevention, around addictions, recovery treatments, mental health, housing, and so on. And my pitch is not going to be just for a downtown station. I'm envisioning more of a community hub. Yes, the police would be operating out of this facility, but connected to that would also be space for community programming, say youth gang prevention, mentoring, perhaps other recreation amenities to replace what was lost with the closure of the Beltline Pool and Eau Claire Y. So again, this is more than just a downtown station. It would be a comprehensive civic facility for the downtown to be able to fill those really two acute needs. Look, downtown and Beltline are just like any other neighborhood around the city in that they have the needs for public safety, for recreation amenities. And at this point, the motion is simply to explore the options. At council, we can't direct our Calgary Police Service or Police Commission. However, we can explore what's possible in collaboration with the provincial government in terms of land that might be available, city leased land, new construction, maybe existing buildings that could be repurposed, other private or public partnerships. So again, there's a lot of options here, but we have to get the ball rolling on sending a signal that Calgary's downtown is safe for people to be able to work, to be able to visit, and hopefully stay. Yeah, thanks guys.